I'm Bill. I'm with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the garage. And welcome back. The 2022 BMW S1000R is here for a front brake modification. Now, the front brakes on these S1000Rs and RRs with the cast wheels have never been good brakes. The rotors have always basically heated up and warped too quickly. So today we're going to be modifying that and installing the all-new Super Sport Brembo rotors for the front of the bike. So we're going to be walking you through a step-by-step on how to remove the front wheel, how to remove the rotors, and install the new rotors. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the chesty cam on and walk through first removing the wheel, and then my technique of getting the bolts out and installing the new rotors on the cast wheels of the S1000R. All right, so first let's go over everything that you're gonna need to remove the rotors and the calipers and the front wheel. So first you're gonna need obviously a 3/8 socket wrench. And for your rotors, you're gonna need a 13mm socket, short preferably, because the longs can kind of tend to be a little bit tight once we get them on here, okay? Now I have these little bungees. You're gonna see how I use them, but you're gonna want either some bungees or some string to tie up these rotors up out of the way. And then into the wheel, we've got a T45 for the axle lockdown bolts. And if you guys don't have the Motion Pro front hub nut thingy-majiggy, I'm not sure what their exact name is for this, but we're gonna need the 24mm side to remove the front wheel hub and the axle, okay? Then once we get to the brake rotors, you're gonna need an impact gun. This is the secret. Really if you guys have an impact gun, get an impact gun. If not, you can use a 3/8 socket, but it's just gonna be a little bit more difficult to get them broken loose. And the bolts that are gonna be coming out of the stock rotors are a T27. Now, over to the Brembos, the Brembo rotors, these are the Super Sport rotors, and you're gonna see that there are obviously clearly two sides. Now, the writing and the bolt indentations, that is facing you. The raised side and no writing is going to go against the wheel, okay? And Brembo's provided you a set of new bolts. The bolts are 5mm head, I believe, yes, 5mm. And you're gonna wanna have some blue Loctite. Don't use red Loctite. Red Loctite is pretty permanent. This is semi-permanent, so you're gonna need some blue Loctite. And first what we're gonna do is walk through the removal of the calipers. The calipers have two 13mm bolts, so we're gonna go ahead and break those loose, remove the calipers from the rotors, and then get those hung up out of the way, and then we'll move on to the axle. All right, so with your 13mm, go ahead and get your socket on there, and go ahead and break both bolts loose and get them completely removed. All right, with the two bolts removed, we're gonna take these bungees and I'm gonna hang them right on the little brake lever up here. And we're gonna go ahead and grab our rotor and gently slide it off and out without chipping the wheel. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hook this right in here. So it's up out of the way. You can see it's not hitting anything. It's not interfering with anything. And then these are up and out. Now, remember you guys, don't pull the brake lever. Do not pull the brake lever. Keep away from this area, okay? So one side's removed. Let's go ahead to the other side and remove that side. All right, so for this side, you've got one extra bolt. You're gonna need the T27, and you're gonna wanna remove the ABS sensor, which is right here, okay? So you're gonna go ahead and pull this bolt out, and then take our 13mm and remove bolt number 1 and 2, and then all of this is gonna come out, and we're just gonna hang it right here. All right, with the sensor removed, we're gonna go ahead and just pry this little cable right out from the silver piece. And then what we're gonna do is take our 13mm and remove the top and bottom bolt. Now, we removed the ABS sensor. It's not necessary, but if you break this sensor by putting on and off the wheel and you break this sensor, you're gonna be in big trouble. So it's just best that you just take it off and have it dangle here. So let's go ahead and remove these two bolts. All right, so with those bolts removed, now we're gonna gently, don't chip your wheel, and we're gonna slide this rotor, or the caliper off the rotor. And the weights are right there, so we're just gonna spin that around. and then go ahead and hang this up out of the way so it's nice and free from everything. And then we're going to go ahead and start working on our pinch bolts here, and we're going to start with this side. All right, so we're going to start with these two pinch bolts. We don't need to remove them. We just simply need to loosen them both up really well. So we're going to get them loose, and then we're going to get just a little extra couple turns here just to make sure they're nice and loose. See, that one's already tightened down because this one's loose. Go ahead and get them loose. And you want to keep the other side pinch bolts tight for right now. Now you're going to grab your little 24 millimeter, and you're going to get this inside the front hub. 24, there we go. And we're going to start breaking this stuff loose. Once we've got it broken loose, we're just going to go ahead and turn and turn and turn and turn until the front axle comes almost completely out. And then we're going to go ahead over to the other side. All right, so once the axle's out here, you can see it's all completely loose. Now we're going to head over to the other side, and we're going to loosen up these two pinch bolts. All right, once these pinch bolts are done, what you'll notice is if we grab in our finger here, we can actually pull the spacer out, okay? And then the axle is hanging here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and grab the front wheel, slide the axle completely out, and then our front wheel is loose. All right, now we're gonna lay the wheel down on a nice protected surface. I've got it up on a table with a towel. And what we're gonna be doing is removing 1, 2, 3, real good downward force when you're removing the bolt, okay? The impact gun just allows you to keep this straight in, and it comes right out. All right, with all 5 bolts removed, you can actually just pick up your rotor, and we're gonna not be using the reuse the bolts, okay? And you can see here how I've already heated up this rotor, and I'm starting to get some rotor warp on it. These rotors just have never been good. I had to replace them on my 2015 with the cast wheels, and I mean, this bike's only got a couple thousand miles on it, and these rotors are already warped. So we're gonna go ahead and set this one aside, and we're gonna go ahead and set the rotors down. You see they just line up, the 5 bolts. And then we're going to take our 5 bolts here from Brembo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And each of these bolts, we're just going to apply a little dab of Loctite. Not too much, preferably down at the bottom of the threads. We'll go ahead and see if we can get it to start down there. And then we're going to go ahead and start each one. All right, now we have all 5 bolts on. We're gonna go ahead and tilt the wheel up on its side, and we're gonna grab our little torque wrench here, and we are going to tighten each bolt down to 19 Newton meters. All right, with that torque down, go ahead and flip the wheel over to the other side. And now we're gonna grab our impact gun again. We're gonna get our T27, and we're gonna pull each of the 5 bolts out. All right, 5 bolts up and remove. All right, then identify the Brembo writing is facing us. No writing, facing down. And we're gonna go ahead and line these up to the bolt holes. Grab our remaining 5 bolts. Add a little bit of Loctite on each one. Remember, blue Loctite, just a drop or 2 at the bottom. And then start working each one in. All right, once they're nice and snug, wheel up on end, and our 5mm with our torque wrench, and we're going 19 Newton meters. All right, so with the rotors now mounted, we're gonna take our ABS ring. Remember, this is the ABS ring. It goes on the right side when you're looking at the front of the bike. So we're gonna go ahead and line this up, and we're gonna slide this right in the little hub, and then we're gonna grab our axle, and let's see if I can keep the camera steady. So we're gonna raise the wheel up, slide the axle in, then we're gonna grab our spacer on the other side and slide that in and line everything nice and up. Now, the trick is to make sure that your spacer is all the way in. And then we're going to lock this spacer down. So go ahead and tighten this side on the pinch bolts. All right, and we're gonna tighten these pinch bolts down to 19 Newton meters. All right, with that set down, now we can slide our axle in, grab our little 14mm, and then go ahead and start tightening the axle. All right, now our axle is snug. We're going to be torquing the front axle down to 50 Newton meters. Once that's tight, go ahead now to our pinch bolts, and we're gonna tighten these down to 19 Newton meters. All right, now it's time to put the caliper back onto the rotor, and I should have thought of this ahead of time, but the brake pads are a little bit low, so I'm gonna go ahead and replace these here in the future, and we'll probably actually do it before we even ride the bike. So I'm gonna get these mounted for you, but you're gonna notice that there's some slight differences in size. So what you're gonna do is, this is my little spreader, and you're gonna get this spreader in there, and you're gonna spread these rotors just out just a teeny bit, or the calipers. So we're gonna slide this in here, and we're just gonna get a little bit of pressure out, because the new rotors are just a little bit thicker. So then we'll go ahead and get these slid on. Be careful of the wheel, and get it lined up. And then we'll go ahead and insert our 13mm bolt on the bottom, 13mm on the top, with the little ABS wire holder, and then go ahead and pinch in the wire. And these I also took out, the little clips for the ABS right there. And let's move this one up a little bit. Now we'll go ahead and slide in our ABS sensor and go ahead and get this bolted in. All right, so now we're gonna torque down the calipers to 38 Newton meters. All right, now we're gonna spread open this one just a teeny bit. It doesn't need to be much, just enough to get the calipers over the rotors. And then we're gonna take this caliper, gently slide it onto the rotor. And then go ahead and tighten down your bolts to 39 Newton meters. All right, now that we've got the front wheel all mounted, now we can go ahead and grab the brake and pump out any of the pressure that we spread out. And then you're gonna notice that the wheel's gonna have a little bit of resistance, which is normal, okay? This is normal. There's a little bit of drag. As always, as you ride, the rotors will push the calipers back out and the pads back out to give you a little bit freer run. But you can see that they're working good. Get a little bit of pump on the brakes, and we're good. So let's go ahead and take a final look at this outside and see how they look out in the sunlight. What a game changer these brakes are gonna be. Just look at them. They just look great. And I can tell you, I've got the Super Sports on the Ducati Street Fighter, and much better, much better. I was experiencing some kind of some warping effect on the track. You can see how heated up they are. So these are definitely going to be much better rotors. Make sure you guys replace your brake pads. I should have thought of that ahead of time, but I just slipped my mind. So we'll probably do a brake swap video here in the near future. But thank you guys for doing the normal, hitting that subscribe button, smash the like button, and then ring the bell notification. The bell notification is going to give you future notifications notification of future content here on the channel. I can tell you, I got the carbon fiber body from Strauss finally, and I just don't know if I want to put it on and promote that company. But leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about putting the carbon work on the Ducati or the S1000 Single R. The Double R's got a few things we've got, and then Bogna's got a whole slew of stuff coming for the Ducati V2, including the new Van Diemen Undertale exhaust is going on the V2. So stick around, but thank you guys again, and we'll see you next video. Bye, guys.